Okay, everyone, so we're back down here at the table, and I wanted to just kind of use this painting that I did to demonstrate and talk about some things. To be honest with you, I'm not sure whether I used watercolor or acrylic with this. I think it was watercolor, but anyway, that really doesn't matter. So, as you can see, I've got trees in the background here. First I did on the paper, I did a little bit of a sky with blue and, left some white areas. But I didn't worry about it too much because I knew I'd be covering it up. Then I took some yellows and some oranges and some light reds and some light greens, and with a really watery wash, I made this layer here where you can see of the trees that look really far in the background. Not these and not these, but these ones here that are very far back. A very watery wash, and I painted that on in certain techniques. Just took my brush and very watery and up and down, and then I think I probably moved the paper around and so forth to create some background there. And then, as you can see, I have a little bit of darker lines, like here, here. That's going in with a little less watery wash and creating the ones looking like they're coming forward a little bit. It's all how you create a picture, a painting. Did the same things here. I put a little more paint and less water, and so that brought some of these lines. I didn't want them to be real pronounced because we're still talking about in the background. A little bit more forward, but still in the background. And then I did like this tree and a couple of others in the background here, even a little bit more. So you're going to have a little more paint and even less water for that type of an effect. Because as you come forward, you want your shape, design, whatever it is, tree, object, whatever it is, the more you come forward, the more defined that object is going to be. And then I took quite a lot of paint with next to no, a water, and did some trees. First I did this one with a little less water, and then this one with even less water. These here I did with more water, more like the background wash, watery wash, but still more paint, because that's why they look as though they're coming forward and not way in the background. So what I want to show you right now is I can put another tree right in here, and it's going to come forward even more than those because I'm going to use very little water, almost none. And I want this tree to definitely come forward in front of, you see, you can already see it happening. And that's going to look like, see, I don't want to add a lot of water. I just want to have quite a bit of paint. And I'm just adding some colors to it for some nice greenery. And you see, we are putting that tree right in front of these two, bringing it forward. And this is this is all how we create depth, okay? Depth in the painting. I'm actually going to put a little bit of something a little darker there. On one side, just to kind of, and you should be able to see how I just brought that tree forward. Now, as far as the trees go, we'll take some of that color and add, I'm trying to find my sepia. I know I put it in here somewhere. There we go. Ooh, that was kind of dark. Well, that's okay. So I've got, you know, these trees in the background. This one's a little more forward. These are a little more in the background. Very light wash, right? This one here a little more forward. This one here further back. Okay. This one comes a little more forward. All right. Now I'm going to take this brush that I've got here, and I'm actually going to come right in front of the ones that I have. And I've got it this dark to really emphasize what I'm talking about here. It doesn't have to be that dark, but I'm using this. I happen to grab that out of the thing. So you see how this tree appears even closer and in front of the others. If I take my rigger brush, or you can take a very small brush, either way, get some paint on it, put some branches, and those branches are going to come forward in front of the trees I already have, indicating they're coming forward. This is the most forward tree I have in here. And of course that's indicated because it's darker. It's in front of. So it definitely portrays that it is the most forward tree that I have so far. This one's a close runner-up, but this is darker. This is a lighter color. And it's behind these trees, if you can see that. I could bring the bottom of this one a little more forward, but the idea is to make it look like it's a bit more forward than everything else. And it's darker. That's your main, you know, kind of giveaway, or whatever you want to call it. All right. Sorry, I've been having trouble all week. All right, so now we brought this tree forward, and we brought this tree forward. Now I'm going to, even though I have this tree here, I'm going to take, actually, I would like to make a, I'm going to make a white birch tree. I'm going to take a flat brush, and right beside, so to speak, this tree that I have here, I'm using some white first. This is actually acrylic white. Now, as you can see, not only do I have it coming a little further down here, I also have it in front of everything else. This will be the most forward tree when I'm finished. So we've got the white. Let's put a little more white in there. I should have used a fan brush, but oh well, that's okay. So I've got this one, and it's closer. It's going to be more, it's very strikingly white. So, and we're going to just add the, quick, this is not a painting. This is a demonstration. So we'll just add some quick black, dark. It's got some brown in it. I guess I need a little more. Some sepia. I don't mean black, but sepia. And we're just, we're just kind of doing what a birch tree has, is some of those blacks on one side and so forth and so on, just to get the idea. I guess I could have put another layer of white just to bring it out even more as that. So we're going to add right on top of what I just did. Normally that's not how I would do it, but just for the sake of, I'm trying to make a point here. So I'm going to definitely add some good white there. All right. Then we'll go back in with a little bit of the darker, and in some places we'll just Right now it's not going to look too black. It's going to look a little more gray because the white is still wet, right? But we're just doing this for the sake of trying to depict a white birch tree here. So it is fading in quite a lot, so I might have to, but do you see what I'm saying? We have a lot of depth in this little painting. We've got the sky in the background. We've got the trees, the yellow and the oranges, and pinks, reds in the very, very background. A really washy, wet wash type of thing to put that in. Let that dry. And then I came in with some lines for depicting trees a little bit more forward, some lighter, some darker. Then I put these types of trees in that came forward even more. Then I put these types of trees in, which really brought them out because they're mostly with paint, not a washy, wet wash. Very wet on, very much on dry on, well, sort of like dry on dry. And then I did these background ones here that were kind of pink. And then I just demonstrated to you this tree here coming forward, and we're going to actually bring that forward a little bit more. Need a little darker green. If I can find my sepia, I have it in here somewhere. Okay, so we're going to add even some darker. And that just brought it forth even more, right? Not as close as these bluish green ones are because they're set back further, right? You tell by the line, like these are a little more forward, these are set back. So all with depth moving forward. I love these types of paintings because it's building and building and building. And then, of course, with this tree here, you could either say, well, you're going to say this is the more prominent tree, the closest tree, because it's a little closer. You know, you can see the difference. This is up here, this one's down here. As far as, you know, is it the strikingness of the color? Well, that would be, you know, if I could probably add in a bit more white here, and that will help it along a lot. But I hopefully you're getting the point that I'm making. And then if I wanted to, make sure I get all the white off that because that was acrylic. And that's another thing is I have acrylic paints. I use so many colors, certain ones, and I put them in these little things. And that way I don't get them mixed up with my watercolor paints. You don't want to do that. Although I like it the way it is. And then, of course, well, wait a minute. And of course, if I took some green, mix some yellow into it, some green, and I just sort of scribbled around some foliage onto this one here, it's definitely going to look closer up. Some yellow in there, something bright. We can add some reds, and whatever you want, just to depict what I'm talking about here. And I in this particular one, I didn't even add foliage to those because I didn't want to when I was doing it. But now say, for instance, this birch tree, okay? So we'll add a little bit of white. I don't want to add too much, but, you know, all these, I added too much white, okay. Usually the branches of the white birch trees are black anyways. So we'll just, you know, bring these forward, right? So we'll just, they're much darker paint. Rigger brush works awesome for tree branches. Really awesome. But you see how darker those are. And they, you know, they indicate that they're up closer. They're we're coming forward with all this. I hope this is making sense to you. But if you look at it, this tree looks a lot more forward than that one does. Now, I'm going to demonstrate one more tree, and that's going to be, no, actually, I'm not going to use a tree. I'm going to do one more birch. And that is going to be, now I am totally thinking about Bob Ross. He'd get going all into his painting, and just about the time you'd think he's indicating he's finished, he'll stop and say, oh, no, I see a tree. Well, that's where I'm at right now. I see a tree. This is the ground. And I believe, I don't really know at the time what I was indicating here. This is an old painting. But anyway, we're going to take some white again. I'm going to go into the white, start off with white, and I'm going to use my acrylic. And I'm going to start with it. We're close, so I want this to be a pretty large tree. This is going to be pretty big because it's right in front of us. I mean, as if we're standing right here, right in front of us. It's just a big tree that is the very, if you were coming into the painting, this of course is the first thing you would see, is this tree. So that's going right up and out of this thing, right over all the others. And do you see, it's going to fade a little, so we'll keep adding a little more white, but no birch tree is completely white anyways, but I'm just making a point. So do you see what a major difference that just created, right? And I'm going to take the rigger, go into the branches, because they always have, you got to have less, I don't want it gray, I want it black, because I'm showing you that it's coming all forward. This one's even more forward. This birch tree. So we're creating depth in a painting. This is basically what this is all talking about. And branches are nothing but a bunch of squiggly lines, and that's why these rigger brushes, you don't have to. I've used all kinds of brushes for branches before, but I like these. So see, we just created, and we put some going over others, making it look like this branch is in front of it, which, it is in the painting. And so, we just have all these things going on to indicate that this tree, this one, is the most forward. The first thing that's in the painting is this tree, right? I hope you understand that. And we're just going to add the dark, areas of the birch tree, that just for the sake of it. It's not the purpose of the video, but that's okay. So that just sort of, and of course, if I want to keep, pronouncing this even more, I'm just going to add more and more white to, indicate that, whoops, I got a glob there. And again, this is a acrylic white. I like the acrylic whites at times because they're so white. Like, for instance, for this, I want you to really see how this is standing out and is first. It's the most prominent thing on this painting, on this paper. So I sure hope, folks, that made sense to you. As I said, it was an old painting and that I did some time ago, and I thought, oh, that's perfect for, indicating and explaining by adding, a few other items. I mean, it literally kind of changed the painting anyway, which I love. And then, of course, I'd probably go back into this one here if I was actually making the painting, and I would want to, indicate more white on here because it is a white birch tree. But we know this one is the most forward, the one closest to us, because it's way here. These are up here. And this one's back here, and that one's back there. This one's right here, right in front. So check out my other tutorials, folks. There's a lot of stuff on there. I'm building my channel slowly. It's a kind of a new channel from having one years back and moving and all that kind of thing. And I actually had to close it. I don't know what it was now. I screwed it up somehow. But anyway, I started a brand new one, and it's just for painting. I may paint with other type of paints as well, but it's mainly for the watercolor, my watercolor journey. I think I have a couple with gouache, jelly gouache, of which, unfortunately, my whole thing of jelly gouache dried up in the move. It got stored away, and I totally had forgotten all about it. And they will, if you don't keep them wet a lot, they'll just dry up. So there was no saving those. So anyway, I did decide to just do mostly watercolor. But I'll probably add an acrylic in there somewhere. But mostly watercolor. And just all the things, how I paint, the things I've learned, helping you to understand, especially beginner. It's very beginner friendly. Going fairly slow, doing a lot of explaining, and hope it helps you. And most of them are all that way. So have a great rest of your day, folks, and bye for now.